If you watch Forrest Gump, one scene in Forrest Gump is the alleged event where someone inadvertently discovers the term "shit happens." Well, shit does happen. We all know that. Every day, somewhere, shit is happening to somebody. Usually more than one person. Probably the majority of the human species is every day subject to shit happening to them, to one extent or another. I had some shit happen to me this week, but I'm not going to talk about it. It wasn't big shit. Little pile of shit. Baby horse, baby bull, whatever. Shit happens. Everything happens as well. Everything happens, right? Shit happens, life happens, death happens. Joy, peace, love, hatred, animosity, anxiety, everything happens. And what do most people do when something happens? Well, they leave it at that. It happens, and they acknowledge it to one extent or another, and then they continue meandering down that long, lonely road of life. Dynamics. How does shit happen? How does life happen? How does The Happening? You ever see the movie The Happening? The movie The Happening was M. Night Shyamalan. You never call your movie The Happening, right? And I'll tell you why. All the reviews, not all of them, but a lot of reviews said The Happening. Nothing happens. Like, things did happen. I saw the movie. It was a pretty good movie. Things happen. But when you call your movie The Happening, it just opens up all these uncreative people. It opens them up to come up with this really witty phrase. You know, it's just going to happen, right? Just like if you name your movie Whore. Ta-da! We won't pursue that. I'm not sure where it would go, but I'm sure it would be interesting. Dynamics, number one, a situation. The Happening. You saw that? Who saw that movie here? It's a good movie. Yeah. Well, things did happen, and people. The thing is about the movie. Here's how you can tell things happen, because people were reacting to The Happening. Now, if things weren't happening, they wouldn't react to it, would they? They would sit there, and it would look really stupid for 90 minutes, and then you demand your money back. The smart people would demand their money back after 30 minutes. Figure out that this isn't going anywhere. There has never been a movie made where nothing has happened, and the reason is because people make movies to make money. And if nothing happens, that's the great thing about being Canadian. Being Canadian, everything happens, right? Things happen. We know that. But in Canada, not a whole lot has to happen. Like when I was a kid, they had this series of commercials, Canadian Hinter Who, Wildlife, or some reasonable facsimile, and they'd have things like the woodchuck. And they'd have the woodchuck in the woods walking. And then this guy would give a speech. The woodchuck is rodent, lives in the Canadian hinterland, and eats wood. And this would go on for 2 or 3 minutes, and people, I loved it. It would never fly in the United States. Everything is big and fast in the United States. And woodchucks are neither big nor fast. So maybe in the United States equivalent, maybe the aliens from outer space. It's not funny? Okay. Anyway, fuck the Americans. Pray for the Americans. They have a big election coming up. And they are our brothers to the south. And we want Hillary to win because she is sane. Is everybody here voting for Hillary? I know nobody can vote because John can vote, I guess. You can't?
Not technically. No.
Okay. Everybody in their heart is voting for Hillary, right? There's no Donald Trump people here.
Not voting for the other one.
Okay, I'm just curious. I'm not trying to manipulate you here. I'm not trying to get you on the Trump bandwagon. Anyway, dynamics, number one, there's a situation. For example, Donald Trump. Number two, we walk into the situation. This is what people do. Now, this sermon is called What's Happening? Well, when a situation happens, like, to me, God makes everything. Everything is orchestrated by God and is for a reason. So when you find that a situation happens, there's a very good chance God's not trying to suck it to you. There's a very good chance that this situation is there to teach you something. Does that make sense? Good. We walk into the situation. Number three, we take ourselves into the situation, which is very similar to number two, but it's one different. Ours go to 11. We take ourselves into, in other words, who we are, no matter how much we worked on ourselves, how much we didn't work on ourselves, how much we learned to love, how much we did not learn to love, that person that we have been working on or not working, or whatever, is going to find him or herself in a situation. Like, life is like Star Trek, man. You just travel around from fucking space station to space station, planet to planet, and then sooner or later something's going to happen. Number four, we take what is inside ourselves into, in other words, it's being revealed. Okay, the thing about people is everybody loves the idea of transparency and honesty and such, but not too many people like it a whole lot when suddenly the spotlight is on him. We are on our way. We have a destination with a destination with ourselves. That makes sense, doesn't it? A destination with ourselves. Yeah, that makes sense. We will encounter ourselves. It's like as we grow, as we mature, we are building and building and building this persona, this identity, and it will have a confrontation with reality. In other words, your universe is going to be tested in a big motherfucking way. So number one, there's the situation. Number two, we walk into the situation. Number three, we take ourselves into the situation. Number four, we take what is inside ourselves into the situation, which is slightly different. Who is this? Okay? Now, this is a partial list, obviously. Lust. Your lust will be in a situation, or lack thereof. Sexual preference. I would say roughly there's probably about 100,000 sexual profiles. Give or take 50,000. Some people think that everybody has their own unique sexual profile. No, I don't. There's only so much stuff to go around. So, only so much crap to go around. And then there's the other people who believe that you're straight or you're gay or you're bi or like twisted or something. Like, I watched this. I watched this biography on Twisted Sister last night. Now, I only got into 15 or 20 minutes of it, and I thought, these guys, God bless them. I'm sure they're nice guys. But they have not really made any headway into the arts. We're not going to take it. It's a really cool video. It's not, if this is the high mark of your creativity, then maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm out on a limb here, but maybe you should go back to the drawing board. Okay. Lust, sexual preference. Again, okay, 100,000, maybe, let's say 103,547. That's a good number. Sexual preferences and sexual profiles. People are unique, man, and that should be. Can you imagine if I went down to Britain like 300 years ago, and I stood up on soapbox or whatever the fuck they stood up on back then, and told them about 103,000 sexual preferences and profiles. How they'd pursue me with forks, guns, knives. Firstly, they'd be completely confused. And once they got past that confusion and realized they didn't like what I was saying, it would not go to a good place. However, have no fear. Most of what I've said hasn't gone to a good place when it comes to mass acceptance. So there's lust, there's sexual preferences, there's hatred, there's joy, there's love, there's self-seeking, there's peace, there's understanding, there's loyalty. All these things go into making you. And there you are. I have seen the devil and I have seen God. And they're both inside of me to one extent. This thing, I mean, John said, man, you could get in trouble for telling, like this whole alcohol thing. Every time, 4 times now I came to, the first time I decided to stop drinking was because I was on antidepressants, right? But 4 times now, over the last 5, 10 years, 15 years, I came to a position where I had to stop drinking. Sometimes periodically, this time not periodically. And what I did was I prayed for myself, and I actually coughed something up. I could feel it. And then the desire went away. Just like that. It's incredible. Which is kind of cheating. But I figure I've spent like 3 or 4 hours of prayer a day since the time I was 16. I figure I deserve a couple fucking breaks with that kind of, even if I wasted my time and God wasn't listening to me, my heart was in the right place. There should be at least a boogie prize. You know what I mean? And I'm just kidding. I believe in God and His divine providence and that He doesn't have boogie prizes. Is it a boogie prize or a booby prize?
I think it's booby prize.
Booby prize. Because that's important. If I get this wrong, you guys could be fucking lost forever. It could be really terrible. So all these things, love, joy, hatred, etc., they all come and become a part of us. And then we have inside ourselves, this is number 5 now, what we choose, what we've chosen. The beauty that we, obviously most people, unless they're Charlie Manson, I saw a documentary on him too. He's not the beautiful, well-rounded person that I thought he'd be. He was really edgy. And I think he had attitudes. Who's that guy in the Middle East that got Saddam Hussein? My friend Troy got an invitation to see Saddam Hussein. And he said, I don't want to see that idiot. I couldn't, I like bragging, I guess. Maybe that's it. I don't know what it is, but I could not pass down that offer personally. Not because I want to see the guy, I don't, but it's such a good story. I just couldn't pass it down. Does that make sense? Who here, if they had an invitation to see Saddam Hussein, not that you can see him now, but when he was alive, who here would take that? Nobody. I'm the only one. Okay, what does that mean? Is that good or bad? Does it mean that my light is shining beyond yours? Or does it mean I'm a fuck up? Okay, we exercise from this. Okay, the us we have chosen. That's been basically redeemed. It comes out, it's on the surface, and it's beautiful. Then, once we have this rendezvous of destiny, there's that which controls us. Okay? The things that you have not dealt with, the things that you have decided not to deal with, rather, they are in the shadows, lurking. Okay? So there I am in Australia. I'm playing tennis with this Aborigine guy, right? Aboriginal guy. And we were playing tennis, and like he was black and he was from the Aboriginal culture. So when I saw this, demonology is very much a part of their culture, right? So here I am playing this guy, and suddenly I see this demon outside the tennis court, and he's watching us. And I'm thinking that he's after my buddy because of the history. And I said, Steve, man, we got to talk. And so we sat down. I said, do you mind if I pray for you? And he said, why? And I said, there's some fucking... I didn't say fucking and get kicked out of Bible college. These people are hardcore. I said, there's this demon outside this court, and I think he's trying to get you. And he said, okay, sounds fair. Pray for me. So I started praying for him, and it came to me very clearly that this thing was after me. And it was about 7 feet tall, it was about this wide, and it was completely black. It looked like a statue. It looked like something that was whittled, right? Anyway, for those of you who think I'm crazy, 2 weeks, I never told anybody this, besides Steve. I said, Steve, man, that thing was after you. I apologize. That thing was after me. I apologize. And we had to talk about it, and I realized that, there was something going on. But anyway, 3 weeks later, I was at my quasi-girlfriend's place, Kylie, and I was down in the basement, and she came running down the basement crying. I said, what's wrong? And she said, I just saw a demon. And she described to me, verbatim, unequivocally, positively, the exact same thing I saw on the tennis court 3 weeks earlier. Or 2, whatever. Anyway, this is it. Like, the things that we don't deal with are going to deal with us. It's not God's wrath or anything ridiculous like that. It's just if you keep on going in a certain direction, you're going to get where you're going. So we have that within us that has been redeemed and has become beautified, and we present that, and it's amazing. Then there's the shit that controls us, and we come to a place where that's being presented as well. And then finally, and this is sort of like the same thing but a little bit different, there's the metaphors in our real self. Right? The metaphors, sometimes metaphors are good, sometimes they're bad, but there's these things that control us, and then basically they're built upon metaphors within our soul. In other words, for example, nobody is really into chopping up grandmothers, okay, for example. It's not the best example, but people have this metaphor that this, for some reason or another, there's in their heart they decided that old people are evil, or they hate old people or something, and then it becomes a part of their psychology or their spirituality or whatever, and then they're trying to find ways of perpetuating this and fulfilling this metaphor. The thing about that kind of behavior, metaphor behavior, it's a spiritual thing. And when you get locked into a spiritual behavior, the behavior doesn't care if it's hurting a little or it's hurting a lot. It doesn't care if it's the metaphor is you swallowing a goldfish in the mall in 1985 or doing something absolutely horrible. That metaphor is stuck there. It's part of you, and it has to be dealt with. And best scenario is you deal with it before it demands an expression. Okay, let's just go through this for a second. Number 1, a situation. Number 2, we walk into the situation. Number 3, we take ourselves into the situation. Number 4, we take what is inside ourselves into the situation. Number 5, we exercise this, okay? We exercise from this. What we choose, what controls us, etc., etc. Number 6, it is received or not. In other words, people receive who and what we are, or they don't receive who and what we are. Number 7, to the best of our ability, we readjust. In other words, what has happened here is you have created yourself through God's mercy, through darkness and neuroses, through whatever, and then sooner or later we find ourselves surrounded by people. And that's when the fun begins, because we want to fit in. There's possibly not a person on this planet who doesn't want to fit in, who doesn't want to, be embraced. So if you put no work into this, you're going to find yourself in a pretty fucking bad place, right? So the issue here is you want to present a reasonable self to the world. And it's not as easy as you think. The real self involves throwing away one world and replacing it with another. These metaphors in your life aren't real. And these nasty, evil, horrible, whatever inclinations aren't real. All that's real basically is love. And you want that solidified within your heart to the point where it permeates from you, it controls you, and more to the point, it dissolves all the crap. It takes care of it. So, this says in the Bible, it is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives within me. It's real. In other words, who is Christ? Christ is God. Who is God? God is light. What is light? Light is real. So in other words, you want to find, not only to impress the people around you, but for the sake of your own spirituality and life and personhood, you want to become authentic. And this is a big thing. The world's not too hot on authentic people. How many people, who come out of the closet, and I'm not talking about the sexual closet, although that too. How many people come out of any closet? Do you know why they have closets? Like for homosexuality, for people of any type of persuasion. They have closets for one good fucking reason. So people can hide in there. They didn't waste their time building these closets for no particular reason whatsoever. They built them because you can hide in there and protect yourself. If there was no need to hide, there'd be no closets. Does that make sense? We're big on that. That's why I'm not terribly sure, everybody thinks the world's coming to an end or whatever, blah, blah, blah. One thing I've learned about people is they're very innovative. And when the shit hits the fan, or was about to hit the fan, quite often they rise to the occasion. People, it's not because they're intelligent or courageous, it's because they don't want to die. I'm not saying they're not intelligent and courageous. Those might be elements. But basically most people I've met really don't want to die. Dynamics. Number 1, we love. Number 2, love changes the temple, which is ourselves. Number 3, we grow. Number 4, the old self falls away. Number 5, through pain, through suffering. See, if I had a church of 500 people, suddenly my church is 20 right now. Just by saying, okay, kids, brothers and sisters, parishioners, we are going to find God. And the way we're going to find God is through pain, suffering, dying to self, living love, placing others first instead of ourselves. How many people are going to stick around to hear that kind of garbage? Let's go through this again. Number 1, we love. Number 2, love changes. Number 3, we grow. Number 4, the old self falls away. Number 5, it falls away through pain, suffering, dying to self. In other words, what I'm saying here, the journey to become authentic and real, which is really the only way you want to be, it's basically going against the grains of the universe. It's like one river, let's call the river Hades. Right out of, the Bible. Hades is in the Bible. The river Hades. And, everything bad goes, it's easy not to change. It's easy to go down that kind of river. But we are not going down that river. What we are is salmon. What does a salmon do? A salmon goes up the river, finds a nice place to have sex, and dies. I don't know if that metaphor works perfectly. I hope not. But you get my point. Amen.